Welcome back to LBG Reviews. This week we'll be reviewing Roots of Pacha. Roots of Pacha is a Stardew Valley-esque game made by Soda Den, released back in April of 2023. The game sees you take on the role of, the player, in a clan of Pachans. The game is set in a caveman-esque reality where you are a member of a clan of a group called Pachans who worships the goddess Pacha. Roots of Pacha's story talks about how the tribe's shaman, Vwok, and first off, before I continue, if you pronounce these names differently than I do, my apologies. I don't have any context as to the official pronunciation, as there's no voice acting in the game, so I'm not sure about how to pronounce some of their names. However, moving forward, the shaman Vwok asks the spirits about the day that they've chosen for the tribe's next rite of passage ceremony. The spirits tell Vwok that they need to move, that all that waits for the tribe on that day is suffering. Not wanting to disobey the spirits, Vwok conveys this to the clan's leader, Jin, and initially they're a bit hesitant, but they all agree to pack up and leave. They keep traveling off to the east, where the spirits told them that there would be a Pacha tree, because the trees are where the Pachans settle. But the spirits said that there would be a Pacha tree there, but as they kept journeying further and further, eventually they got stuck, and Jin, the clan leader, beating himself up over, because he was like, how could I do this? How could I just have everyone pick up and leave their homes? But when you realize that Jin has left behind the group, you go to follow him, see what's up, and you stumble across the Pacha tree that now becomes your place of residence. Now then, I could dive into the farming mechanics of Roots of Pacha, about how you start off with no crops at all. There isn't a general store, obviously, because of the caveman era and aesthetic. And you have to forage for your own crops at first. And I could talk about how there's the ideas system where technologies get developed as things come up. Like how initially, after a few days of you going to the river to refill your water skin to water your crops, then the clan comes up with the idea for the well. And I could talk about all that. But really, there's only one thing that I want to focus on with Roots of Pacha. And that's how Roots of Pacha handles fishing. For as fun as fishing is in Roots of Pacha, it is also very frustrating. The way that fishing works in Roots of Pacha is that there's a meter on the bottom of a ring when you hover over a fish, and that you need to wait for that meter to fill up before you can attempt to catch the fish. But if the fish sees you, then you need to move your cursor off of the fish and wait for that meter to go back down before you can go back to the fish and start waiting on that meter again. The problem I have with this system is, yes, it emphasizes the patience of fishing, it also makes it very tedious. There have been times where I had already watered my crops, and so I had started fishing early in the morning, and then the sun was already down by the time that I had caught a single fish because I was not able to fill up their meters fast enough. Apologies if I sound tired, if my voice sounds strained. I am currently recording this video right after recording the Breath of the Wild video, to put it into perspective, because currently when this video comes out, I will be in Arizona away from my recording setup, so I've had to prepare some videos in advance, and I've already been talking for way too long. Now, in the potion permit video, I had tossed around the idea that potion permit system could be replaced with the Stardew Valley version of fishing. In Roots of Pacha, that system wouldn't necessarily work that well. What I think that Roots of Pacha could do, though, is I'm going to borrow a concept from a game that I haven't even talked about yet, and I don't even think I will talk about. A game called Luna's Fishing Garden. In Luna's Fishing Garden, there are two modes for fishing. There's simple mode, and then there's complex mode. Simple mode is, well, the Stardew Valley version. However, I think that Roots of Pacha could do a similar approach. If you want the true Roots of Pacha experience, then you go complex mode and you get what you're watching right now. If you want an easier time fishing, maybe it could just be a timing minigame where, like, in Roots of Pacha, to obtain animals to live in the village, you need to attune to animals, so you have to play a rhythm game where once the rings go inside the certain area, you press the button. I think that fishing could work in a similar way, where, like, you have to go through a rhythm minigame for the simplified version. You're probably wondering, why haven't I talked about the game's story that much? And that's honestly because Roots of Pacha's story is wonderful. It is heartwarming, even at times a little heart-wrenching. And it's a story I cannot bring myself to spoil for you. If you enjoy games like Stardew Valley, Potion Permit, and other farming simulator games, go play Roots of Pacha. Roots of Pacha is absolutely worth the price tag, and you will not regret it at all. Roots of Pacha does not have any accessibility features, and the fishing minigame is really the only thing that I think could be improved for accessibility's sake. However, I will say, though, that the ideas system could be conveyed a little bit better. Like, initially it was cool to, like, as stuff was going on, like, oh, a new idea is in the works, etc. Later on, especially towards the end of the game, I was getting to the point where it's like, what do I need to do for this idea to come up? And it was just starting to frustrate me. I think that, like, and it's not even an accessibility option the more I think about it, but honestly, Roots of Pacha, there is no combat. Like, yes, you can pass out and not have as much energy the next morning if you aren't paying attention, but, like, that's only if you stay up late, because in Roots of Pacha, you can still do stuff if you don't have any energy. You just can't use your tools to, like, harvest or break stuff. Like, the game is just overall really good, and there isn't much else I can think of to talk about, but I just knew I wanted to talk about Roots of Pacha. Tune in next week for when we review Mail Time, a cottagecore game about being a little mushroom boy who delivers mail. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you guys next week.